It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
The Sports Hit List presents Smokin' Mirrors with Declan Krogman and the Polius Brothers, Greg and Stefan, breaking down the biggest news in sports, giving you the stories behind the story. Here for all the smoke, all the time, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
All right. Welcome to Smoke and Mirrors here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I'm your host, Declan Krogman, alongside the Polius brothers, Greg and Stefan Polius. Welcome. It's Friday, March 5th, and here we go.
What's going on, everyone? Happy Friday.
Yes, happy seriously. Friday to you. I got my Friday attire on. You know, the weather's getting nicer out.
There we go.
I put my nice tropical shirt on.
You have attire for days of the week?
Well, now I do, because we air on Mondays and Fridays. So I'm going to set everybody into the weekend properly.
Copy. Heard you.
Some people think about these things. Other people don't.
Clearly you do. Before we get into anything, I know on Monday, last show, you know, I denounced my Knick fandom to the world. And as I was a lifelong Knicks fan. Obviously, I have some Knicks gear, and our youngest brother, Garrison, was in the comments talking about how I'm a quitter and a traitor, but I can't fully quit the narcotic if I don't get rid of everything. So, Garrison, next time I see you, this is all yours.
Wow. We're giving out gifts. Look at what we're doing here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Smoke and Mirrors presented by the Sports Hit List. We got breaking news already. Blake Griffin has been bought out by the Pistons and is now signed with the Brooklyn Nets.
He signed with Brooklyn?
You know, he's just saying that. Get out of here.
I'm just messing with you.
I know. I knew he was trying to guess. I knew he was trying to guess it.
Why are you the way that you are? Why do you do these things?
I don't know.
I mean, Blake Griffin getting bought out isn't really news. I think everybody saw it coming. But what I will say, though, since we're on the topic of the NBA, in Houston, prior to the James Harden reunion, Brooklyn Nets going back to play Houston, the owner came out and said, you know, they're going to retire James Harden's number, And that was kind of unprecedented, considering that we really don't talk about players' numbers getting retired while they're still playing. So what y'all think of that?
Steph, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I got it. I mean, clear PR stunt to me. They do it now, right before they're going to play the Brooklyn Nets to retire his number. You know, you had an opportunity if you really wanted to. If they were really dead set on it, they could have done it once they agreed to trade him. And they could have said, hey, you know, he did a great job for us. We loved, you know, what he did here 8 years for us, and we're going to retire his number. That could have been the conversation. But, you know, you let all this time pass. You're finally going to play the Nets, and now it's like, oh, we're retiring his number. The timing of it doesn't make sense to me. You could have waited till after the season. You didn't have to do it now, but they clearly did. They're going to do the tribute like they always do for any player that's been in our organization for a long time. And on top of that, they have the news that they're going to retire his number, which, you know, it's a throwaway for me.
See, I think it's weird only because, listen, not that I don't think James Harden should have his number retired by the Houston Rockets. He absolutely should. But this is a guy who is still playing, as Greg mentioned. And now I feel like, now that he's on Brooklyn, a team that you traded him to, you're kind of tying in another organization to this guy's legacy with your own. And that's kind of where I don't think they should have kind of said that they're going to, all right, right now they're going to retire his number while he's still a current player, an active player. I would have waited until the guy retired. I mean, it's kind of common sense that they would retire his number, but now you're attaching another team to it. I mean, if this guy wins a ring in Brooklyn, you're attaching Brooklyn to it even more. I just don't see it as something that was anything more than a PR stunt, like Steph said.
I mean, two things can be true, but I don't agree with you that you're attaching Brooklyn because the 8 years he gave Houston, those are going to be those 8 years. Nothing's going to change that. What I will say, though,
amazing 8 years.
Yeah. What I will say, I could definitely see the angle of PR stunt, but it could be a PR stunt, but he also does deserve it, considering what he gave the organization. Before they got there, they were 34-32 in 2012. And then, they became perennial contenders after that. Obviously, they never won the big game, and that's going to be a knock on him. But what I really also want to get away from is this narrative that James Harden quit on Houston and that he doesn't deserve anything of the sort, because
it's 116 and Greg's getting into the media narratives.
We have to stop. We have to stop. I mean, this is what we're all about, right? And you have people out there that are saying, well, he's a quitter. He didn't see it through. He never won anything. What more outside of a championship could have James Harden done for that organization? He literally brought them back to relevance. And the other thing we have to stop doing is, if a player gets traded, right, by the organization, you'll never hear fans say that organization gave up on that player. You'll never hear that. It's like, oh, well, they're doing what's best for them business-wise, a la Jamal Adams. Shout out to you, Steph, for that plug. And you thought I wasn't going to give you credit.
That's how you move, bro. I mean, you're surprising me right now, honestly. So I'm glad you're doing it live, though, so everybody can see you changing.
But that's my thing. Yes, his number deserves to be retired. Should it have been done? Should they have said anything about it now? No. But let's not call a guy a quitter either.
Fully agree on that. So
also agree on that.
Wait. I just got breaking news. So Declan actually wasn't playing. Shout out to one of my guys.
They're likely to sign with him. I mean, vice versa.
Blue check mark on Twitter.
Blue check mark.
Blake expected to choose Nets. So you heard it here first on Smoke and Mirrors.
Wow. You got it. Exactly. So
look at that, Deck. You did that. All right.
I know.
Spoke it into existence.
I was joking because I wanted to give Manny the satisfaction of thinking that he was Adam Schefter, but I did see 14 minutes ago. Is Shams who you're looking for?
Yeah.
Shams said it 14 minutes ago that they're believed to sign. So whether that happens or whether it doesn't happen, I mean, I would say all likelihood it would happen. I think it's a decent fit, honestly. I do have I have a connect to the Pistons.
Check you out.
And they might be better off with
plug.
Yeah, they might be better off with Drummond in a short-term period. But I think the Blake move could work, especially that star power on that team. Obviously, he's not Blake from years ago. He's kind of he went from being all right, he's going to put everyone in the league on a poster, to now he's going to do, spinning ISO, occasional three-pointer, like that new Blake Griffin. And he's kind of not that he's a spot starter, but he's not the same player he was.
This is not baseball. Yeah. There are no such thing as spot starters in basketball.
I hear what you're coming from. I understand what you're saying. Starter. Yeah. I understand what you're saying by that. And I agree, he doesn't have to be relied upon as much now if he goes to Brooklyn as opposed to being in Detroit. And I think that's just going to be better for him, right? You see players going into the twilight. You go to a team where you're not asked to do as much. You can kind of fit in, and play a role, become more of a role player, which, that could be his role in Brooklyn if that does happen. I think it'd be great for him. And I would agree. I think Drummond would be the better player to target, but I'm not mad at Blake going to.
I actually think it's terrible. I think it does nothing for them. It does nothing for them. Blake's biggest thing was his bounce. His ability to play above the rim. He no longer has that. He's not the same player. He's not out there shooting threes at a decent percentage. The way the game has changed, you need the Nets need a rim protector, rebounder, shot blocker. And at this point, they're better off with Nick Claxton than they are with Blake Griffin.
That's actually a good point. I think Nick Claxton is really coming to his own. But I think Eric mentioned it in the comments. They can still find a way to sign Andre Drummond. Now, whether they do both, if they want to bring in two big men to potentially – listen, I don't know if they're both going to start, but two big men to both – kind of round out their front court. I don't know if that's in the cards per se.
Now, also Carl is in the comments talking about I hate the media. And of course, Carl, being the guy, the media man himself that likes to spin narratives. I see you, Carl. I don't hate the media. I just hate certain narratives they paint. But this particular narrative I was discussing before was more of the fan narrative that the media plays off of.
That's accurate. That's more the fans. But I don't know. Does Greg hate the media?
What is this, a segment coming?
I think
It
so.
could be. I mean, it could be. But
Yeah.
I would say yes, he does. I think anyone that knows you, that's talked to you, or just seen you on Facebook, knows full and well that you and the media don't get along. All right, like oil and water, and then it just ain't gonna happen.
I feel like you're dragging it.
I'm not.
I don't know, man.
I don't think so. I mean, the number of things you posted about your disdain for the media, how am I dragging it? All right.
I mean, there's always context to everything. Context matters.
And it's all good. I mean, I agree with you on most of those points, but you're not going to sit.
So
here
does that mean you hate the media too? Since you agree with me, is that what you're saying?
I said most. All right.
said most.
All right. There's levels to this, and I'm not where you're at. All right.
Exactly. There's levels. So
and you were like boss level, bro. Like that's what I'm saying. Like no one starts with you. All right. You got to go through the minions first. All right. You got to toil around in levels 1, 2, 3, and then bam, you get to Greg. All right. Media hater number one.
We're the minions. Wow. We're the minions who don't like some of the media, that we think there's some corrupt agencies out there. Yeah. Then we get to Greg, who is just essentially has zero taste for any of the media.
Speaking of,
you quoted the media today with Sham.
Speaking of media narratives, right? Declan, you were on camera when the Steelers were 11-0, claiming that they were the most overrated 11-0 team in history. Still to this day, a wild statement, by the way. That regardless of what happened after, that doesn't make your statement any less wild in that moment. Now, you made a post yesterday. You made a post yesterday that said the Steelers signing Big Ben sets them back 2 to 3 years. Why do you believe this?
Great segue into this topic, by the way. All right, why do I believe that? All right, so here's the deal with the Steelers, right? And Ben Roethlisberger. We saw Ben Roethlisberger. If you look at his numbers, 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That is totally fine, especially from a game manager who doesn't move around. That is fine. I'm not going to argue with it. He didn't throw for 4,000 yards. Not that that's the end-all, be-all, whatever. 65 QBR is something I kind of have an issue with, first of all, considering a guy with similar numbers, Ryan Tannehill, who threw also 33 touchdowns and nearly 4,000 yards, had a QBR of 78. So now that's an upwards of 18, which is a huge difference in terms of QBR and general stats in the National Football League. In terms of what he means to the Steelers, right? This is a guy who, I know this was an injury-riddled team, excuse me. The last 5 of the 6 games they lost. Granted, he didn't start that game in Cleveland where they lost by 2 points, where they actually played pretty good with, dare I say, the guy with half a helmet imprint in his head, Mason Rudolph. 4 and 5, they lost their last 4 to 5 games with Big Ben, and it required, they were down 21-7 to the Indianapolis Colts, when Rivers and that offense kind of blew it, and the Steelers defense, went back to that number one ranked defense that they were for, a majority of the first half. Honestly, until they were like 11-0. So this idea that Big Ben, and I think, you hear some people saying that, all right, Big Ben is the reason why they did good last year. And I think that's unbelievable. Not even close. He honestly held them back. This is a team that, again, started 11-0 and did not win a playoff game. And he was horrible.
This is what drinking the media Kool-Aid looks like. This right here. This is what it looks like.
Mr. Meaty Man Jr. himself is telling me I drink the Kool-Aid as he drinks some water. But you know what? Absolutely. You're definitely a Kool-Aid drinker. But we're gonna get to that in a second. Go ahead, Steph. I don't drink Kool-Aid. I just break through walls like the Kool-Aid man. I'm gonna need you to work on that. No need to work on anything. But I'd like you to read me Ben Roethlisberger's stats in the playoffs when he single-handedly lost that game. Steph, please do what you do.
So, Dak, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this one, right?
Please.
Like, I'm not sitting here saying that Big Ben is this stellar quarterback and that he's gonna be the reason the Steelers go to the Super Bowl next year. I think that he still has something left in him. His numbers show that. The guy finished top 10 in yards, all right, yardage for the season. He was 10. I think he finished 10th. So he was 10th in yardage, and then when it came down to touchdowns, 7th most touchdowns in the league. 37 passing touchdowns he had this season, which is a career high for him. I don't care what you say. If a guy is, look at your face. Look at that face.
No, he had 33. You're using the playoffs.
I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. Add playoffs in there. You're right.
Okay.
So 33.
Okay. No, he's not 10th in yardage. He was below average. I think he was at like 17, but that's below average.
No, it isn't below average. But still, the guy he'd still play. Like to me, the running game, not having that running game was a big part of Big Ben not doing as well. They were last in the league when it came to yards per carry. And he is old. He's not going to be the same Big Ben from before. He doesn't scramble as much. He can't scramble as much. I think he actually was getting the ball out 2.3 seconds this past year, and a lot of short yardage. I mean, I think he finished with 6.3 for his yards per attempt, and
which is
that isn't. Yeah, it is. It is. So he's getting out quick, and it's going to be short routes. So I truly believe that Big Ben isn't the same as he used to be, but he's not setting the franchise back 2 to 3 years, based on them extending him. He still has something left in the tank. I think they just have to get, the pieces around him, better protect him. Running game is going to be necessary. James Conner is obviously injury prone. Relying on him as your bell cow back is not going to be it, because then you're just really doing piecemeal for your running backs after that, which isn't enough for him at this point in his career. He has the offensive weapons on the outside to do something. But it's not a game over for the Steelers by extending him.
I mean, so here's why I completely disagree with Declan, because he's not adding any sort of context to this entire conversation. When it comes to Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones, he always likes to add context into how they haven't had the proper pieces around them. If you're going to talk about last year's Pittsburgh Steelers, you have to talk about their injuries. You have to talk about their lackluster O-line play. You have to talk about their lack of run blocking. You have to talk about their lack of running game. And the fact that they were second in the league and dropped passes with 30. They had 30. I had Eric Ebron on my fantasy team. This guy must have dropped 5 passes a game.
He's had the drop since his rookie year in Detroit, though. This is nothing.
But just to give you some context, right? After week 13, their offensive pass blocking went from after week 12, they were 83.9 in week 12. Then it went down to 50.9, 59, 46.3. And then in week 16, you had a slight uptick because I believe they got one of their guys back. And then even in the run blocking, 45, 48, 58. What offense is going to be successful when you have players dropping passes and your run and pass blocking this poor in the bottom half of the league? Right now, Big Ben is still serviceable enough to get them to the playoffs and still be that guy and be that bridge. It doesn't mean they don't draft a quarterback this year, but he's good enough to be that bridge. So you saying they're setting themselves back 2 to 3 years isn't accurate or based in any type of context.
Well, can I give you the context?
Let's hear it.
For starters, I told you they were injured, and you're telling me I didn't say that. So immediately we're off on the wrong foot. But now let's go through some of the numbers since we want to go since we've brought up some numbers with Big Ben. The last 6 games he was not good. All right. I'm going to pull up a game in particular that I think is pretty sure.
Wait, hold on. Did you not listen to what I just said about the pass blocking and the run blocking? That's directly correlated to quarterback play.
100.
So of course, if you're the same person that says Saquon Barkley couldn't run because of the line, and Daniel Jones couldn't get the ball out because Andrew Thomas couldn't block a garbage can. So now you're gonna tell me that he was bad when in those instances you give Daniel Jones excuses? You can't do that. You can't have it both ways.
Okay, when a quarterback that you guys think Ben Roethlisberger is good as loses to a third stringer on Monday Night Football, where he throws 170 yards, completes 52% of his passes, throws a touchdown and a pick, and has a QBR of 14, I will listen. Did Patrick Mahomes have a QBR of 14 in the Super Bowl when he was running for his life? Hold on. Did any of those guys you mentioned, whether it be Jones, Darnold, did any of those guys lose to third stringers on Monday Night Football and have a QBR of 14? With less. I don't want to hear it. You had Juju, you had Claypool. Ebron may drop some passes, but he's still a weapon. And you had a top defense, injury riddled or not, they still finished top.
So you just said Did he beat a third-string quarterback like Big Ben plays defenses? Why do people do this? Why do we say the quarterback
the defense was the reason they lost? Big Ben completing 50% of his passes had nothing to do with them losing the game.
You keep saying you're taking into context and then talking about how bad he was without talking about how bad everything I just told you was. You can't do that.
Fine.
Steph, you want to jump in here?
No, hold up 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Big Ben throwing a pick six against the Bills on a check down route has something to do with his offensive line? On a check down. No, it does not. He was not even pressured on that play.
So you're bringing up one play. I mean, and granted, quarterbacks make bad decisions. I mean, Patrick Mahomes make bad decisions. You use Patrick Mahomes as like, the antithesis of quarterback play right now.
One of a couple.
I know. Well, you focused on that because like Sam Darnold, yes, he could do that. All right, you like brought up Sam Darnold's name, like he's a quarterback that you would use in that analogy to support your argument. He doesn't support your argument. I'm not sitting here telling you that Big Ben he's going to make every play. He is not. Your point was that he set the franchise back 2 to 3 years by the extension, and I don't think that's true. I think he still is productive. There were injuries, there were pieces that were missing. I think Big Ben just needs that support, and that's. It's okay with saying that you can now put pieces around him, give him a better offensive line, giving him a running game that you can have more play action. Maybe his game is going to have to change. Big Ben has always been known to extend plays. Broken plays were a huge part of his game when he first came into the league, and up until last year or the last 2 years, I would say, because he isn't the guy that's going to sit in the pocket and get everything done in the pocket. All right,
now he is because he can't move.
But that's why you give him the pieces. You get the offensive line for him, right? There was an issue with health. I 100% disagree that he's setting the franchise back. Like I said, you could bring up all the bad plays from last year, but there's reasons as to why, last year wasn't his year and he did not perform as well as he could be. Next season, they have a whole offseason to fix those problems. He can still be a productive quarterback in this league and above average, in my opinion.
I don't even
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that has absolutely nothing to do with what the Steelers put on the field this year, but that's whatever. So this is where I get annoyed, right? We can say, first of all, he's not above average by any stretch. He's going to be.
I said he's above average. Who said that?
I said he could.
He said he can play above.
No. Next year, if you give him the right pieces, because it's not like he's done. He's not done.
What did Ben Roethlisberger show you in the second half of the season that proves that the Steelers need to deserve those pieces instead of just drafting a quarterback?
But you think starting over is the answer?
They have pieces in place where they still can be considered a playoff team, where Ben Roethlisberger doesn't have to carry them. He can literally be that game manager that gets them over the hump.
Which is my point to an extent. And now, like the windows in the NFL, we know they're as small as a candy corn. All right, 2 to 3 year windows for the Steelers. It seems like they've been in contention for a while. I mean, they should have been at least in the divisional round this year, but they couldn't get past the Browns. So Steelers ain't moving on from Ben Roethlisberger. The Browns are moving on right by them. So we saw Big Ben. That's exactly what happened, first of all.
No. Because you're saying the way you said it sounds like the Browns are going to be better than them next year. I don't know if that's the case.
I see them being a little bit better. I honestly don't think I think the Steelers are a 500 football team, and I think that they have the pieces. But I think, listen, we're also not just getting Big Ben from this year, whether you think he was good or whether you think he was not good. We're getting Big Ben with now another added year. So what is he going to turn 39, 40 next year? So now we're giving a 40-year-old immobile quarterback. We're going to try to build some pieces around him with a roster that should be in Super Bowl contention. I mean, that defense, when healthy, is excellent. And we saw it.
Which exactly my point, which is why if you have a defense like that, unless you get a Patrick Mahomes or even a Trevor Lawrence in the draft, then you start them right away. But even Patrick Mahomes sat for a year, so you're not going to get a rookie to start right away when you could still have Ben as that bridge and that rookie can learn from them. That doesn't mean they won't compete.
All I'm saying is Peyton Manning did it. Peyton Manning with the Broncos, great defense, throwing a lame ball the whole season, could never been mobile, was even less so in his final season, went to the Super Bowl, won it. Like Peyton Manning can do it. Big Ben could definitely do it.
If you want to bank on, first of all, that defense, whether it be best in the league, it's still not that 2015 Broncos team. If you want to bank on Big Ben being a waffle throwing immobile quarterback statue in the pocket,
He's more than that, is what I'm saying. But
that's what I'm
you're saying he can't. You say he can't. You're saying I'm saying he's more than that. Peyton Manning did it. He's more than what Peyton Manning is at that point in his career. I'm saying he has something left in the tank to do it. You're telling me there's no way he's done. I'd rather start with a rookie quarterback, green as hell behind the ears, trying to figure out what the hell the NFL is and try and make it happen with the pieces that have in place. You might as well just blow it all up. You should want the Steelers to blow it all up then. If that's the case, you want to go for the rookie quarterback.
And I mean, first of all, if they don't sign Juju, that's another big thing. Whether you like Juju or not, if they don't sign him, now he's losing one of the big weapons there. We got to head to break. I wish we didn't, but we got to head to break. You're listening to Smoke and Mirrors here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I'm Declan Krogman alongside Greg and Stefan Polius. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is Smoke and Mirrors on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back to Smoke and Mirrors here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I'm your host, Declan Krogman, alongside my co-hosts. We're all partners in crime, whatever. Stefan Polius, Greg Polius. And now as, A Boogie and Juice WRLD fades out, let's get into a nice topic that Greg Manfred, as Manny calls him.
Manny can suck it.
Oh! Shots fired at 140 on Friday. Anyway, we can get all back to why the Steelers are going to win 8 games next year. But we're going to have to move on to Greg's topic.
Just want you to know, I starred that in my head. Just want you to know.
I can't wait for it, and I'll get a nice little apology, just like I did from Carl after Big Ben threw a nice calm 4 interceptions in the postseason. Anyway, we got to get into some baseball because we got about 20 minutes left. By the way, I'm loving this new camera angle. I think it's awesome.
I'm feeling it.
It's fire.
Facts. I get to see Steph's plant. I'm a big fan of Steph's plant.
Oh, he's got a nice plant. I must say.
His name's Marty. What's up?
Is that from what's the cartoon? Rick and Morty? Oh no, Marty. I thought you said Morty.
But there's Doc and Marty. This is a mass cane. I mean, just a quick aside. There's a smaller plant here. His name is Doc, and that's Marty.
So you name your plants?
Name my plants. Anyone that has a plant, they name them. Trust. If there's anyone that's listening to this right now that has plants, you love and nurture your plants. All right. Words of affirmation. I love these plants, and my energy goes into them. Look how beautiful and lush that is. I talk to them every day.
He names his plants. What a millennial. Oh my God. Unbelievable.
Oh God.
All right. Go ahead, Greg. I know you want to take this one.
MLB ratings, Carl posted something in a group that spurred a vast discussion over, various areas. And Carl asked, how can the MLB increase their ratings? Before I give my answer, what do you guys think?
How they can increase their ratings. I think they have actually done a pretty decent job in the offseason of, the second base rule in extra innings. And now we see the 7-inning doubleheaders, which I think are awesome because even if you catch one game, you're still catching a game, and it's 7 innings. I mean, on the show, I've been playing with my dad. We've been doing 7-inning games because it's so it's quick. It's a fun game and it's an interesting way to manage. And it makes the game more exciting and it's more power packed in the 3rd and 4th inning. Whereas the heart of the game would be in the 5th and the 6th inning. In a regular 9-inning game. I mean, I'm sure Greg will argue the heart of the game is the 1st through the 9th inning.
No.
He's not going to tell me that. Well,
no, you're right. No, what you said is absolutely correct. Don't get used to that, by the way.
Oh, I will. I'll get more than used to it. I've gotten used to it, my friend.
What about you, Steph? What do you think?
Man, I think, like Declan said, the changes so far are good. I mean, some of the issues people have because again, you're appealing to the non-baseball fan, right? The casual fan, I should say. It's too long. The game is too long, and people aren't going to sit there and entertain for 9 innings. They lose it. Most people want to tune in later in the game anyway. So having the 7 innings, especially 7-inning doubleheaders, is great to me. I mean, not just for the ratings part, I think it's important, but also trying to get butts in seats. It's very important to have your fandom going out to the games. I know we're dealing with the pandemic, and some of the stadiums are opening up so that fans could come in. But when we get to the point where, you know, you could be at 100% capacity, I guess Texas is there now, but you can have 100% capacity. You're thinking about how you can get your casual fan in the seats. And to me, it really comes down to what I see at Yankee Stadium and Citi Field, where Yankee Stadium, when you have that more traditional feel and look, it's nice and, you know, it's cute, but it doesn't really draw the casual fan. Whereas Citi Field,
it's too corporate.
Exactly. Citi Field is fun. People can go to Citi Field, not know anything about baseball, and still have a good time. And that's what you want.
True.
You need to have a draw for people that aren't just there to watch baseball, because the 7th, or, you know, if we're talking about the if it's just a single game of 9 innings, if you get into the 6th to 9th inning, where it's more entertaining, more exciting because it's coming to a head, people are going to lock in. But before that point, before you get to those innings, they can do whatever they want. Go around the field, go around the stadium, you know, visit all the attractions they have there. Things like that are going to be important for every organization moving forward, figuring out how they can generate that revenue, right? Because it's not going to be with the avid fan anymore. It hasn't been. Baseball has been declining for years for that reason, because they continue to appeal to the avid fan like they're going anywhere. You already have them. You need to get the people, fan. Yeah. Well, not even just a conservative fan, but like the people that love baseball, you have them already.
And he's not saying conservative in a political stance.
No. But you know what I mean? Like, you need to start appealing to the casual fan, the one that doesn't think baseball is fun, and then find reasons and ways to get them into the stadium and to start watching. And I think, you know, again, with the rules they have now, and thinking about an approach, a strategy for how they can improve the stadium entertainment and quality.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Go ahead, Dick.
Oh, I think that's a great point. And even like you look at Yankee Stadium, it's like it's not even about what's on the field. And I think they tried to make it, when they did the new stadium, they tried to make it like the old one and building off the history. And that just reminds me of the Yankee fan that tells you about the history, which is not what we want, you know? But like, I think Citi Field's great. I think it does a great job. The food's excellent. They got the games behind center field. Very interactive. They got the games on the field. I think that's some of the best.
Everybody wins, by the way. I don't know if you go to a Yankee game, children lose and they cry. I watched that. It was so cutthroat. They don't get nothing. They don't get anything, bro. Like Citi Field, you go home with like a bag. You go like, oh, I got a Mets bag. Yankee Stadium, they're like, nah, you lost. Go back in the in the stands, bro.
Go pay for some $13 fries.
Yeah.
So I think both of you made some good points. The only thing I'll disagree with is the length, and because if you look at a MLB broadcast, and I'm looking at it from a broadcast perspective, not in stadium, the length of an MLB game, the length of an NFL game, they're not really far off. I think an NFL game might actually be longer broadcast wise, but the difference is the action on the field and the camera angle.
That's drastic, though. You're talking about action on the field.
No. I know it's drastic, but it's also, and Travis made a comment, you know, that he said there's a lot of standing around in baseball. And that to me is a comment that people who don't play the sport realize, that there's movement on every play, but the camera angle that's used in baseball doesn't allow you to see the movement, like even like say a play at the plate, right? And how somebody lines up for a cutoff or what that looks like until you see the replay. It's not live in action, but in the NFL, that camera angle lets you see everything on the field. But that's not what I really wanted to focus on, though. I just wanted to hit on that. But I think baseball lacks in their marketing. They are so far behind every other sport, with the exception of maybe the NHL, in their marketing. So their social media footprint is trash.
They run a good page. They run a good page on the MLB on their Instagram page is good. But I agree with you.
It has to be more than that, though. It has you have to allow your stars to market themselves as individuals.
And Rob Manfred, like he came out and said, not to cut you off, Rob Manfred came out and said that time that Mike Trout needs to market himself better. That's your job to market these guys and to help them. That's your job. That's what you get paid for.
Mookie Betts is one of the best players in baseball. I guarantee you 90% of Americans will walk right past Mookie Betts on the street. They don't know who these guys are.
Well, and maybe that's because he's on the shorter side. He's about 5'8".
But that's not my point. In the NFL, guys are covered with helmets the majority of the time, but you will be able to faster tell an NFL player on the street as opposed to an MLB player because of marketing.
Visibility, yep.
Yeah. You know, the digital footprint is trash. And then not only that, you have instances where, say, there's like MVP campaigns, right? Even look at LeBron, look at James Harden. They're painted as villains. That sells. Who's the villain in the MLB?
The Astros.
Yeah,
but
true.
even then, though, they did
famous.
nothing. They did nothing with that. Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, they could have been playing on, yeah, they could have been playing on those matchups.
Like, dude, Carlos Correa, he handles himself some of the worst I've seen an athlete handle themselves in interviews, and nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Yeah. It's bad. I think they've really got to, and you're right. That is Rob Manfred's job to, market these guys, and just the MLB as a whole. They need to come into the 21st century, and really get that digital footprint. But seeing as how we only have 10 minutes left and we're still talking baseball, let's talk a little Mets Yankees. As the lone Yankee fan on the panel, Declan, we'll allow you to go first this one time.
That is, first of all,
I wasn't going to go that route, Deck. Trust, like, we're all friends here. I'm on your side too, even though you're a stinking Yankee fan. But I'm on your side.
But I'm a Yankee fan, but like, you won't catch me doing anything. Like, I'm not a Met hater. I'm not a Met hater. It doesn't bother me. The only time was when they traded for Lindor. I had to make a fake tweet, and I convinced Greg that they traded Syndergaard and Jeff McNeil.
You didn't just convince me. You
convinced everyone in that chat.
I wanted to fight you.
I heard so many people.
It's the Yankee hate in you, even though you say you don't hate. I'm sorry, the Met hate. Yeah, it's the Met hate in you.
I do this with everything. I do.
When have you ever created a fake tweet for something that happened in the NFL? You've never done that.
Yes, I have. I absolutely have. I mean, first of all, there's not like trades like that. There's not like trades in the NFL. First of all,
let's not get off track. All right, so we're talking about Mets.
Seriously, Yankees. You're right. Mets Yankees. So what do you guys? I mean, allowed to go first. I don't know. I don't think we should necessarily give an entire breakdown of the Yankees and the Mets, like as if. Let me go through all 26 guys on the roster and the 40.
I didn't say a full breakdown.
I'm aware. I'm aware,
baby.
But exactly, I would just like to say this. I think the Yankees have too many righties in their lineup, but I think they're successful with that. I think Clint Frazier's an excellent player. Now he's going to start. He's going to be on the strong end of the platoon at worst, but he's been my favorite outfielder, honestly, since he came up. And now to see him shine is good. Luke Voigt, he's going to look to build on his nice 60-game season. Whether that translates to a full season, hopefully these guys can stay healthy. This team has had a problem probably worse than anybody else in the past couple of years, with maybe the exception of the Mets in terms of injuries. Judge and Stanton, same thing. Everyone's got to stay healthy. This is a team that could win 100 games, no problem. And it makes it sound so much easier than it really is in the MLB. You're coming in with essentially the same team from camp, with the exception of Jameson Taillon, who I definitely botched his name. It's Taillon. Yeah, well, whatever it is. He'll be rocking number 50, and that's what we'll call him.
I thought that was a great pickup.
I totally thought
that's probably one of the most underrated pickups of the offseason.
100%. I think that was a great pickup. They didn't give too much to get for him. Something like that. They didn't give up too much for him. And I think Davy Garcia is a live arm. He's on the shorter side. Everyone keeps saying he's Pedro Martinez. Let's slow our roll. Davy Garcia, pitcher for the New York Yankees, rocks number 83. But
why does that bother you so much?
What? It doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't. What? That he was short?
You said, couldn't they get him a better number than 83?
Oh, you want to know why that bothers me so much? Because I'm obsessed with uniforms and numbers, and you guys will know that. I love the camo jersey that Greg's wearing. It better not say like 67 on it or something.
It's an old school. This is back when Zach Wheeler was on the Mets.
That's excellent. See, 45 is a great number. That would be the number Davey would have if Garrett Cole didn't have it, because he's such a Pedro Martinez fan. 83? We can't get this guy a better number than 83. 34's out there.
You hear how angry he's getting over this?
But I love that energy, though. Like,
that's horrible.
That is exactly what a fan should do, especially like before the season starts.
I think it's always going to come down to starting pitcher for the Yankees. I think they finally addressed it because they got somebody else. Deck, who was the other name they got?
Corey Kluber.
Yes, there we go. Corey Kluber.
Corey Kluber. Wow, footnote, huh?
That was me being petty.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. That was a little bit of hate.
Why, you don't like Corey Kluber?
No. I love Corey Kluber. I think it's a great pickup. I'm wondering if that's going to translate into the playoffs, though.
I'm more excited to see what he looks like without a full beard.
Ooh, ugly. Got it. I'm
I know
right now. He's gonna look gross.
There are some guys. When Edwin Encarnacion came to the Yankees and he shaved that beard, I was like, oh my god.
No one ever looks better without it. It's
that's
always
true.
a loss.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I feel like some of the Yankees on the team look better without it. Like Aaron Judge with a beard, pass.
You haven't seen him yet, though, bro. You haven't seen
I don't
him.
know.
Maybe he rocks the beard.
I don't really look up his beard.
How did we get here?
I don't know. Dex took me there. I'm sorry. I got sidetracked with him.
I think Greg would look. I think Greg would look better without a beard.
Absolutely not. We're not even going to discuss that. Let's move on.
We don't have to discuss it because I can tell you it's a no.
Okay. Joe Flacco's another one. All right, enough with the beards. Let's get to the Mets.
Yeah. Now, there have been a couple of preseason rankings that have like the Mets as a top 5 team, and I am not here for it. I don't want us anywhere near any top half of the rankings at all. Yes, we got Lindor. Yes, we got Cookie to pair with DeGrom, which I'm super excited about.
Excellent pickup. Excellent.
Yes.
Nice
I think that I know, right?
Sub 4 ERA, got you 200 Ks.
Mm-hmm. That guy's a 2-starter on essentially almost every team in the league, and he was a throw-in for Lindor.
He's gonna get stronger. I mean, last year was his first year back, really after the cancer diagnosis.
Yeah, leukemia.
Yeah. So
And
I think it'll be better.
Yeah, and that just shows you what kind of guy Cookie is, because this is a guy who played in the pandemic shortened season where we know he's high risk. I mean, I'm not his doctor, but this is a guy recovering from leukemia, recovering from cancer, and he's out there pitching his heart out for a team that went to the playoffs. In part because of his success.
2 great players in Lindor and Cookie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a couple of the more underrated moves that's really gonna help this roster is trading the Royals for Khalil Lee. I think he's really gonna come on late in the season, and he's that base ceiling threats that the Met haven't had since Jose Reyes.
Very good prospect for sure.
Yeah, and also, oh man, why am I drawing a blank on the pitcher that we just got from Seattle?
Taiwan Walker.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually think Taiwan Walker can be a valuable piece out of the pen. I think he's not bad as a starter, but his stuff is so electric that I think for 1 to 2 innings, he could be absolutely dominant. And if it doesn't work out, right now they said that he's fighting for the 5th starter spot.
Yeah.
But I'd rather see him in the back, especially in like a 7-inning doubleheader where you don't want to use your closer in back-to-back games. You maybe bring him out for a 6th, 7th inning because he has that length in his arm and he could do that. I'm all about that.
He really is in terms of that. I don't like the Joey Lucchesi pickup that much.
Why not?
I just think that he's a guy looking at the analytical numbers behind him, and also the numbers at the forefront. This is a guy who is just a reliever, in my opinion. I don't see him competing for a spot in the rotation. Or if he does compete, I don't think he's going to get it. He's a lefty. I think if you want to pitch him a couple batters in the 6th, 7th inning in a 9-inning game, I think that works. It's crazy that we have to specify on that.
I love it. I love it because they're managed very differently.
Yes, 100%. You even look like starters get taken out in the 3rd inning if they give up 2 runs. It's like managed like a playoff in a way.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a playoff atmosphere because we all could speak to playing in 7-inning games. By the 4th inning, your starter walks 2 guys. He's done because now you're in jeopardy.
And our boy Sean Kiernan just said it in the comment section. Jordan Yamamoto from the Marlins. That's another great pickup.
Well, you see, I look at Yamamoto and Lucchesi. It's Lucchesi, right?
Yeah, Lucchesi, San Diego.
Yeah, they're very similar. Like they've shown flashes because he did early in his career. Lucchesi did, and Yamamoto did for like maybe I want to say the first couple starts when he came up. And there's potential there. I don't look at it as like I'm super excited to have them because there's still a lot to prove. He hasn't shown that he can really go against the lineup, go against guys 3 times. See a lineup 3 times, 4 times. But he has talent, and I'm happy. To me, the Mets did what they always do, right? Even though we have new ownership, they got one big splash, which was Lindor and Cookie trade, and now it's just kind of filling in the gap. We're filling in like for depth. a lot of it. And that's okay because I think they have a solid team. But I was really hoping they went out there and got Jackie Bradley Jr. like that to shore up the defense because they wanted to make an emphasis on analytics, and they have to know that their pitches are going to be better on the field when they have better defense behind them.
Especially
such a liability.
I do like Brandon Nimmo though. I like him.
I like
James McCann. That was one of our biggest setbacks. For the last like 4 or 5 years, our catcher position was awful.
Yes,
and now we actually have a guy who could hit a little.
But also, I forgot
to be seen though. I mean, we have to see what he had a solid season, but we can't sit there and say he's automatic. Like Real Muto's automatic. Absolutely. You know what to get. But McCann is a little bit different. He has a very much higher upside than any catcher we've had in a very long time.
Yeah. Also, before we head out for the next show, I just want Chuck Baldy to know that he's a super hater because in the comments talk about Marcus Stroman is whack on Twitter. I need you to leave Stroh alone. That's a Long Island guy. He's gonna put on for our Mets. All right.
Yes, sir.
You need to cut the nonsense, Chuck.
Yeah, I was actually happy you read that because I wanted to I thought it was a great way to finish the show with Marcus Stroman. We didn't talk about him. He didn't play last year because of the opt-out. Listen,
I'm excited for him to play.
I'm a big fan of Marcus
Former
Stroman.
Ace.
I've loved him, as a pitcher in terms of, and I also like the height doesn't measure heart stuff. I think that's just awesome. When he was in Toronto, he was exciting. How interesting is it that Mats is on Toronto now and a Long Island swap inadvertently?
Yeah.
I think he needs to. I'm all for guys, voicing their opinion on Twitter. I think Marcus Stroman's a great guy from what I've heard. I don't love some of the stuff. I think it is a little much, especially what he said about the Yankees. I don't really care about what he said about the Yankees.
Yes, you do. That's why you just said it. Yes, you do.
Well, I mentioned it because that's why Chuck mentioned it. So that's why.
Fellas, sorry to do this, but
I know we gotta head out. All right, guys,
it's done.
Yes, it's over. It is over. All right,
got Monday back at it again.
We will see. Yes, exactly. We will see you guys on Monday. The Falco takeaway is next on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is Smoke and Mirrors. I'm your host, Declan Krogman, alongside my co-host, partners in crime, partners forever, Greg Polius, Stephen Polius. We'll see you guys next time.
Guys.
Bobby Schmurda, take us out.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.